Let's move on now. The Namibian Chamber of Commerce and Industry held its private sector dialogue to review the state of the Namibian economy. Now, contrary to global economic prospects, Namibian business people rated the economic conditions in 2012 as more favorable than those of 2011 and are even upbeat regarding the prospects for 2013. For more, we join now by Tara Shanika, CEO of Namibia Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Tara, surprisingly, Namibians are optimistic going into 2013, but at the same time, they are actually not so optimistic as to actually follow that optimism with money coming into the Namibian economy. What's going on here?
Well, I think from the last surveys that we did, the private sector, especially after the economic downturn in Europe, was less optimistic about the growth prospects in Namibia. But this year we have seen the private sector has greater confidence in the Namibian economy, and I think they fail to think that the economy is going to grow. They think they have better opportunities to grow their businesses. They want to make more investments. But of course, yes, money coming to Namibia is a problem. They don't think that it's coming.
Yeah, that's certainly a surprise, particularly given the fact that, you know, Namibia to a large extent depends on conditions here in South Africa. And we know that here in South Africa, no one is re-rating their growth sharply higher. And yet there is this optimism that's building up between. Let's look at some of the individual ratings that you guys take a look at in your summary for the NAMBIC 2013 report. You look, for instance, at the prospects of the labor market. That remains positive, so no surprises there. But on the other hand, these guys actually intend to invest less, and yet they are optimistic.
Well, I think they are optimistic because the fiscal policies seem to be providing an opportunity for growth. We have seen the budget that the government has been presenting over the last 3 years. We have a rolling budget in Namibia. The budget, the expenditure of government on physical infrastructure is going to be increasing. Since it has actually been on the increase since the last 2 years. And that there they see an opportunity for growth. Perhaps the issue of investment is because of the shortage of skills and the issues of flexibility in the labor market, which is really not there. And I think that is why they are not probably saying that they are going to invest.
Yeah, let's talk about the obstacle to growth. Now, there are three main ones that you have identified here in your survey: access to and cost of finance, secondly, the demand for products as well as services, and thirdly, crime and theft. These remain major bottlenecks. Is there anything that the government is doing to try and counter this?
Well, when you look at the issue of demand for products and services, is mainly influenced by the size of the Namibian market. I think businesses are looking at Namibia as a market when they should actually be looking at the export market, which is much bigger, but of course it's much more complicated, maybe more difficult to penetrate than the Namibian market. So the demand, of course, ought to be low in Namibia. We just need to perhaps pursue export markets. The government has been working very hard to open up opportunities in the export markets for Namibian companies and products, and perhaps the demand is going to increase once we begin to export perhaps our beef to China, for example, or our grapes to Asia and to the United States of America. We have better opportunities there. But as far as the crime and theft is concerned, I think this is a perception that is there. Crime is considered to be high because of the reports in the media. I don't believe it's necessarily high, but the perception is that the crime has gone up. What was surprising from there, the survey, though, was that businesses don't feel that corruption is a case, as opposed to the previous 2 years when they thought corruption was indeed a serious case in Namibia. Perhaps it has gone down, perhaps they don't feel it anymore, and that is a very good indication for Namibia as far as the management of corruption is concerned.
Absolutely. I was going to make that my key takeaway for that, but and I thank you for that, for raising it. But I wanted to come back to the issue of finance. Now, there are two problems with finance. It's access to, as well as the cost of that finance. Why does this continue to be a problem when we know rates are low?
Yes, we know that Namibia is a net exporter of capital, and finance ideally should not be an issue in Namibia. But business continue to complain about access to finance and the cost of financing. Interest rates have been quite low in Namibia, but the issue of collateral, I think the requirement for collateral is killing business. It makes the cost of capital quite high. And perhaps that's why business is saying that they find it very expensive, because you have to have almost twice as much of the capital that you need, twice of the collateral that you need, bigger than the finance that you require. But perhaps that has increased the cost of capital. The access to capital is basically a problem because of the challenges that the SMEs have with regard to accessing finance from the banks.